You've been drinking coffee without sugar for months, maybe years. You made the careful decision, you changed it for your health, and every time someone at home pours themselves 2 spoonfuls, you feel you're doing the right thing back. But there's something that almost no man in your situation knows. The time you drink that coffee matters as much or more than what you put in it. And what happens in your arteries in the hours that follow doesn't end when you finish your cup. It continues silently during sleep. What you feel in the morning, those feet that take a while to warm up, may have a direct relationship with the coffee you had the night before, not with the sugar, but with the time. There's something that happens in the bodies of many men after 50 that almost no one documents. It's not a diagnosis. It's not an illness. It's a pattern. You know what it's like to wake up and your legs feel like they've slept without you. Do you know what it's like to wait several minutes before your feet warm up? Do you know what it's like to have numb hands first thing in the morning, even though you've slept the necessary hours? And you know what it's like to not understand why? Because you take care of yourself. You walk, you've given up sugar, you drink black coffee, drink black coffee as they say you should. But the morning comes anyway. This didn't start yesterday. A large proportion of men in this age group report exactly this pattern. They are healthier now, get adequate sleep, but the quality of their rest doesn't match how they feel waking. What's behind it is not the inevitable deterioration that many assume. It's a circulatory mechanism that works at night and that may be interrupted by something that happens in the last hours before bedtime. And there's a specific reason for this that almost no one has seen clearly explained until now. It's not that your body has stopped working, it's that no one has explained to you how it works differently now after 50. That difference changes everything. What happens in your arteries doesn't end when you leave the cup in the sink. Research on vascular recovery indicates that this process continues to be active during sleep, and its effect reaches your morning before you open your eyes. The circulatory system has a recovery window that occurs mainly at dawn or mertigosu, a period in which the vessels need to decompress rasut, rikusas, regain ilasanux trisrasun faskugoanut. When something interferes with this window night after night, what accumulates is not just tiredness. It is a signal that the body sends each morning with cold feet and unresponsive hands. That is precisely why I prepared something specifically for this group of men. The digital book, 7 Habits That Make You Wake Up Tired After 40, you will identify. You will identify which of your end-of-day habits are connected to the circulatory recovery that occurs while you sleep. A habit that you have never related to how you wake up. You will understand why the body after 50 responds differently to the same stimuli that it previously tolerated without visible consequences. And you'll be clear on what adjustments you can make this week without changing your entire routine to notice a difference in the early hours of the day. Designed for the man who wants to understand the root cause, not just manage the symptoms. And there's something inside that surprises most. Among the 7 habits, there's one directly related to nocturnal vascular stimulation, which most repeat as the last thing they do before turning off the light without knowing what they're accumulating. If any of what you just heard sounded familiar, the link is in the pinned comment. Vascular stimulation that builds up night after night doesn't wait. The first step is to figure out which of these habits is yours. You have to resign yourself to feeling this way, and you don't have to figure it out alone. That's what we're here for. I'm Carmen Navarro. For over 20 years, I've been researching and sharing scientific studies on men's health to help men make informed decisions. What I've observed time and time again is that when it comes to food, the right question is almost never what food, but how and when. When. And today I want to show you exactly what happens to your circulation when you drink unsweetened coffee at night, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, because what you find, analysis can change something as simple as the time of your last cup. Let's start with the mechanism, with what happens inside before sleep sets in. Imagine that your arteries are garden hoses. During the day, they are under constant pressure. The heart pumps, the body moves, the vessels contract and expand continuously. That is their function. They are designed for that, and they do it well. But then night comes, and the garden needs to rest. The body has a vascular recovery process planned that occurs mainly during sleep. Oh, the pressure drops, the vessels relax, the flow is redistributed to the extremities, legs, feet, hands, that receive less circulatory attention during the day. It is during these hours that the arterial system regains elasticity and the vascular tissue regenerates silently without the sleeping person noticing. Research on nocturnal vascular function indicates that this recovery period is especially critical in men over 50 because natural arterial elasticity decreases over the itagokwali balukam or adamtalafam, not all at once, but gradually and progressively. What recovers quickly in a young man between 55 and 65 requires that this nocturnal window be fully respected without interference. That's where caffeine comes in. It directs dried vasomotor till delregrier, the ability of the vessels to expansion and naskiruxpikamporaft. And although the body metabolizes caffeine, research indicates that its effect on vascular reactivity can extend for hours after the last cup. Not longer than most people imagine. Longer than the man who drank that coffee perceives, because the stimulant effect has already worn off, but the vascular effect is still active. And what that means for sleep, for the recovery window that the body needs, is what we are going to break down phase by phase by phase. Manuel was 62 years old and lived in Bilbao. He had been drinking coffee after dinner for 3 years without sugar. He had stopped drinking it in time. He would take it while watching the news to end the day. It was his ritual. In the mornings, it would take him 20 minutes to feel operational. His feet, especially in winter, seemed to respond until he had been standing for a while. He thought it was the poor circulation he had always had. My father was the same, he said to himself. He never associated his evening coffee with the way he woke up. No one had. Rather than removing that coffee break, he merely shifted it to occur before dinner. In the following weeks, he began to notice something different when he woke up. His feet no longer needed that waiting period. He would wake up and his body would respond sooner. Manuel didn't change anything else, just that. Now that you understand the mechanism, let's see what happens in your body as the pattern progresses, because the story begins long before you open your eyes in the morning. In the first phase of sleep, the body tries to start its vascular recovery. The pressure starts to drop. The vessels try to relax. It's the expected process. This is what the body has been doing every night for decades. But caffeine ingested in the last few hours continues to circulate in the blood. Research on caffeine metabolism indicates that its half-life in the body is variable, and in many men over 50, the elimination processes have slowed down compared to previous years. The liver works differently. The kidneys filter at a different rate. What the young body eliminated in a few hours in the 60-year-old profile can continue to be active in the blood during the deep sleep phase, which is precisely when the vascular system most needs that level of complete relaxation. The result is that the vasomotor tone does not reach the level that the body needs to complete recovery. The vessels remain partially constricted. The flow to the extremities, legs, feet, hands is reduced. The man sleeps, but his arteries do not rest completely. The pressure does not drop as much as it should. The recovery window is short. What happens unnoticed during these hours is precisely what makes this habit different from simply drinking coffee. The body does not send a pain signal. There is no discomfort that wakes a man during that night. Just that silent process of incomplete recovery that repeats itself, accumulating night after night, without pause, unnoticed, until morning comes and the feet are cold again. Mom, And what accumulates in the following days changes the picture in a way that begins to become visible. When the pattern repeats itself night after night, the body begins to signal it in specific ways that many men do not connect with each other. Sleep can become more superficial with more unexplained nocturnal awakenings. Research on sleep quality and vascular function indicates that the fragmentation of rest has a direct effect on arterial recovery, a cycle in which a poor sleep impairs circulation and impaired circulation impairs sleep. In the mornings, the symptoms become more noticeable. Heaviness in the extremities, a feeling of stiffness when getting up, feet that are slow to warm up. Many men in this profile interpret these as signs of aging. They are signs of the pattern. The connection between the coffee in the evening and the next morning is not obvious. There are hours of difference. The body doesn't send a direct warning, so it repeats itself. And when it repeats itself for weeks, what happens goes beyond morning fatigue. When the habit is maintained for weeks, the nocturnal vascular response begins to change in ways that are not limited to morning symptoms. Research on vascular adaptation indicates that repeated exposure to vasoconstrictors, that is, stimuli, during the nocturnal recovery period can alter the reactivity of the vessels over time, as named. Their ability to respond correctly when the body needs them, both during sleep and during the day. What starts as heavy legs and cold feet may be the sign of an adaptation that the body makes silently, night after night, without the man who is experiencing it being able to directly see it. It causes no pain or disruption, just accumulates. The information you're receiving is educational. It is not a substitute for medical advice. If your symptoms persist, talk to a health professional. And what happens when this process reaches the thinner vascular tissue, the one that supplies the areas that depend most on nocturnal flow? That's the chapter of this video that we haven't covered yet. There's something about this pattern that didn't quite fit into the video. The connection between nocturnal vasomotor tone and what happens in the hours following that last cup, what I found in the research, doesn't fit into one episode in general. What caffeine does to your vessels doesn't end when you feel its stimulating effect. Research shows that this influence on vascular reactivity continues to be active during the deep sleep phases, precisely when the circulatory system needs to decompress the most. How you wake up is not the result of that one night. It's the result of all the nights before. The accumulation of this process night after night is what turns a seemingly neutral habit into a relevant variable in how a man wakes up at 50. That's why I put together the ebook 7 Habits That Make You Wake Up Tired After 40. Inside, you'll find which of your end-of-day habits is interfering with the circulatory recovery that happens while you sleep. The one you would have pointed out the least. You'll understand why the 50-year-old body handles the same stimuli differently that previously went unnoticed in Act 1. And you'll have a specific adjustment you can implement this week without reorganizing your entire routine. Designed for the man who wants to act on the root cause, not just alleviate what he's feeling. And there's a detail I don't cover in this video. Among the 7 habits, there's one directly related to interfering with nighttime vasodilation, which most repeat in their closing of the day habit without realizing what it's about. It's accumulating. If any of this sounds familiar, I've left the link in the pinned comment. Check it out. This week, try moving your coffee from after dinner to before dinner. That's it. Let me know in the comments if you notice any difference in how you wake up. I want to know what happens in your case. And when we're talking about months and a habit that's sustained over time, the story becomes clearer, not more alarming, clearer. For a man between the ages of 55 and 68 with this pattern maintained for months, longitudinal research on vascular health in older men points to a definite trend. The nocturnal arterial recovery capacity gradually decreases, and the symptoms that initially appeared only in the morning begin to appear at other times of the day. Feeling of coldness in feet and hands, even at rest. Increased physical fatigue with moderate exertion. Reduced endurance when walking that was previously easy. These are not signs of a new disease. They are the visible accumulation of a process that began silently at night. For this profile, an active man over 50 who watches what he eats. Nighttime coffee is a harmless indulgence. It is repeated interference with a system that increasingly needs that recovery window to function well the next day. The body can tolerate it, but it comes at a price. And that price is paid in the morning. The good news is that this is a changeable habit. It does not require eliminating coffee. It does not require a new diet. It does require a change in schedule, and in many cases, the body responds unexpected. Many men who adjust their nighttime coffee schedule without cutting it out, without making drastic changes to their diet, report changes that first appear in their sleep quality. Fewer awakenings, a feeling of deeper rest. That's before the body changes anything else. The most common thing in the first few weeks is for your limbs to lighter when you wake up. Feet feel warmer sooner. The morning wake-up period is shorter. The body starts the day from a different point. Many men describe it as the body being ready when they wake up rather than needing a while to get going. In the weeks that follow, some men report more sustained energy during the early hours of the day. Not a rush of euphoria, but a more stable base. That feeling of being ready from the get-go without that adjustment period that one seemed inevitable. In the first month, many describe their bodies responding better overall, more agility at the start of the day, less feeling of dragging, more lagging, more clarity in the early hours. Not because they changed their diet, exercise, or medication, but because they changed the time. None of these changes are guaranteed. Every organism has its own rhythm. But what the evidence shows is that when the nocturnal vascular recovery window is respected, the body, even at 60, has more room to respond than most people expect. If you know someone who drinks coffee at night and has been complaining about tiredness in the mornings for a long time, share this video with them. It may be the first time they see this connection clearly explained, and what we have seen today is not a diagnosis. It is a mechanism, and mechanisms can be modified. The body of a 60-minute-old man is not the same as that of a 35-minute-old, but it is not a system that has stopped responding either. Research on vascular plasticity shows that even in advanced ages, the circulatory system maintains an adaptive capacity that many underestimate. Beat sand. The body does not need you to be the same as it was 20 years ago. It just needs you to provide it with the conditions that are right for it now. When the nocturnal recovery window is respected, many men report that in the first few weeks, their sleep changes before anything else, becoming deeper and with fewer interruptions in GM. Then, the mornings. Within the first month, your baseline energy level for the day starts to feel different, not higher, but more stable, more predictable, more yours, more. It's not a promise. It's what many men who've made a single adjustment have reported feeling. And that adjustment starts with knowing which habit needs to be changed. Every morning is an opportunity to wake up differently. Today you know how. And waking up differently isn't a wish. It's the result of changing something specific. Today, you know what? What's left is to figure out which of the 7 is yours. Every night that goes by with your evening coffee as part of your ritual is one more night where your vasomotor tone doesn't reach the level of relaxation your body needs to recover. You can compensate for that by getting more sleep. Changing bedtime rituals will help to compensate. Get the ebook 7 Habits That Make You Wake Up Tired After 40 now, and understand which habits are interfering with your vascular recovery each night. It's going to happen tonight anyway. The question is whether it happens with the right habit or the wrong one. The vascular stimulation that builds up night after night doesn't wait. Link is in the pinned comment. Check to see if you're repeating this habit without realizing it tonight. See you night. Until next time, I'm Carmen Navarro. Stay informed. Stay vital. Your best years are not behind you. They can start now. Important note, this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your physician before making any changes.